Why does this always happen to me? You see that? Luckily it's still powering on. It doesn't seem to be. I have no idea how I'm going to fix this. This is the new Elite FS 10-inch screen. How much money do you spend on your fishing electronics? Do you have one unit and it's like 500 bucks? Or do you have 4 units and you have 16 to 20 grand in your boat? Whatever that is, get that figure in your mind. If you spent $500, still $500, y'all. If you spent $500 in your fishing electronics, why wouldn't you try to get the most that you possibly can out of that 500 bucks? If you spent $15,000 or $20,000 in your electronics setup, wouldn't it make the most sense to get the most that you possibly could out of each and every one of those units? Wouldn't that make sense? So this is what I want to do with this video right here. I simply just want to help you solve some of the most common problems that I've noticed with active target forward-facing sonar units, and also just graph installation. There's some very simple things that a lot of people overlook that anybody can do. Anybody can navigate. And what I'm about to show you is so easy. Yeah, it's gonna 10x. Like, you'll enjoy your experience with your fishing electronics 10 times more if you just do these 3 things that I'm about to show you in this video. Number one thing that I think you can do to upgrade 10x your experience with your fishing electronics is just provide clean power. Number one, what that does, clean power, makes it so much easier to diagnose problems that may come along when you're out there fishing, or you're trying to work on your boat or install new units. Having clean power makes that easier. Number 2, your units just work a lot more effectively. You get a clearer image when you just got clean power going to those units. I already know what your next question is what is clean power? Let me explain it in common daily words that I feel like, at least that I could understand. I didn't understand this either until about 5 years ago, by the way. If you got an older boat especially, but most boats, especially older ones, they'll have all the accessories bust or fused on one circuit. And so that can dirty up the power to your electronics. Instead of fusing your navigation lights, your aerators, and everything on one circuit, that dirties up the power. And when we have one circuit dedicated just to our electronics, that is what we refer to as clean power. So having power straight from my batteries, straight to my units. There's a bunch of aftermarket wire harnesses that you can buy or you can make on your own. I have a C-Clear power harness, and what that does is that mitigates the possibility of anything dirtying up my power, disrupting the power to my units. This goes straight from my battery source to both of my units, even the ones here on the bow. There's nothing in between on that circuit. A lot of anglers have said that that clears up their image, especially on 3D sonar, your side scan, or on your live sonar, active target. And then for me, I think it just helps me organize my boat, and I can tell and diagnose problems when they come. That's my main motivation for having this harness. All right, this next one, this one is probably gonna be the most scary one. Software updates. When they say they have a new software update, you should do the software update. Okay, Johnny? Imagine if you could plug in your house, upgrade the hardware on your cabinets. You know how like silver was in and now gold is back in? Well, that's basically what you're allowed to do with your software that's buildable in the units that we have now. They can refine your unit to the latest capacities. When they do this and when you do the upgrades, it upgrades the capacity. Sometimes it adds features to your units. That's something that we really never had until recently. It wouldn't last 10 years or so. But you can do it. It's so easy. I know it's intimidating. It's scary because you always think your greatest fear is, I'm going to do this update and my unit is not going to work the way it used to work. I'm going to lose my waypoints, lose my trails. All the updates are refined to add or to refine very specific things. You're not going to lose your waypoints or your trails or anything else in your unit. I know that's your greatest fear. It's always been mine too. You got to trust me. It's not going to happen. And this is super easy to do. There's 2 ways to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it on one of my graphs right now. Y'all are going to be upset with me after I show you how easy it is to do an update. You got Lorentz unit, go to pages. Then we're going to go down to wireless. We're going to connect our unit to the internet. Very top one. Connect to internet. Find your internet system. Type in your password to your internet system. All right, I'm connected to the internet. Got it? I can X out of that. Then I'm going to scroll all the way down to about. And this screen is going to tell you the version that you're operating on. I'm operating on version 23.3. There's a new version called 25.1. What we're going to update today is to the new 25.1 update. So after that's finished, all you're going to do is hit restart. And then once it restarts, you'll have the new update available on your unit. Last thing I want to talk about is absolutely the most important thing. If you can't see fish on your electronics the way you feel like you're supposed to, this is the #1 thing that I probably would check first beyond anything that I just mentioned. Transducer location. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So this is the 3-in-1 transducer that I have on my boat. Those 2 units that you saw that I was doing the update on, I'm getting the reading from this transducer. This is at the transom of the boat, of course. So the problem is every boat is a little bit different. And because every boat's a little different, it makes it really hard to come up with a consistent way to tell you where to mount your transducer. I like to mount mine directly in the middle of the boat, up under the jack plate. If you can mount your transducer right here in the center, I think that's best. Secondly, if you're doing side scanning, you're trying to look left or right, if you got your side scanning transducer to the left or to the right, then your image is not going to be symmetrical. Try to put it in the dead center of your boat. It just makes everything line up so much better. The other thing is, if I put it on this side of the transducer, this side of the jack plate, I have to make sure that it's below the jack plate, because then it can't read. The sonar ping is going to hit straight into, either hit right into my power pole brackets or to my jack plate. So you got to make sure it's below everything on your boat. Make sure it's below your jack plate, make sure it's below your power poles or your shallow water anchors, and then also make sure it's in the center if you at all possibly can do that. Now, one thing I don't want to forget to talk about before we end this conversation on transducers, especially at the transom, is I want you to look at my transducer there. You see it right in there? That's the transducer. I want you to watch. You see how it's actually tilted a bit up. It's tilted a little bit that way. I'm gonna zoom in on it a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna go over here so I can talk to you about that. The reason you do that, so the reason that my transducer is tilted this way, actually level, let me get a piece of wood. So you would take this piece of wood, level would be something about like right there. You can see how there's about a 2-inch gap between what's level and where my transducer is. That's for a reason. When your boat is setting in the water, let me come back to you. When your boat's setting in the water, so your boat doesn't set exactly perfectly level in the water. Your boat sets batteries, engine low, bow a little bit high. I don't care what kind of boat you have. So imagine when you're on power, you get even a little bit more bow rise. And so our transducer won't read the way it's supposed to. If we mount this transducer completely level, when we're on the gas and idling at speed, our transducer is now going to be pitched a little bit forward. And it won't read correctly. It'll throw all type of static and noise like we talked about with the active target. You won't get a clear image of your down imaging, side imaging, even 2D sonar. It won't look right. So what we do to correct that is when we mount the transducer on our hull, we have to adjust it for the pitch of the hull when we're at speed. So oftentimes on the trailer, your transducer may look like it's pitched a bit forward. That way when it's under power, it's perfectly level. This is something that's going to be different on every boat, and you may have to adjust this on the water. Usually what I do is I'll take a 2x4 or a stick, something like this, maybe about 5 or 6 foot long, and I'll keep my bracket loose enough to where I can adjust it on the water. Now there's some other problems I see people make at the bow. Let me show you what I do with the bow of my boat as well. Let me know in the comment section if many of you guys are running active target on your bass boats on the bow of your boat. I highly recommend getting a longer trolling motor shaft. I run a 52. If we had a 60, I'd probably get the 60 because I can always make a long trolling motor short, but I cannot make a short trolling motor long. Size, I'll let you finish the rest. You can see where the water line is on my trolling motor. And this is just in completely smooth water. You can see the water line is, my transducer is only 6 or 8 inches under the water. So anytime I have a wave, a boat wake, or it's a windy day, that transducer is going to come out of the water and my 2D sonar unit is not going to work. 52-inch shaft, I can loosen it down, push it down a little bit deeper, and still get another, what is that, another 4 to 6 inches out of that. Now, if I had a 45-inch, this transducer would be completely out of the water where I have it now. So I highly suggest that you get a longer shaft. Get a 52, maybe even 60 for you guys that live up north. I think this is one of the best ways to make sure that you get a good consistent reading on windy days, because let's just be honest, most of the time when you're fishing, it's going to be a windy day, it's going to be bad weather out, and you won't be able to, you can always make a long shaft shorter, but you can't make a short shaft longer. I think I said that right. Then the last thing is going to be making sure that your active target transducer is perfectly parallel with your trolling motor head, because that has everything to do with how accurate your casts are going to be and how accurate the reading on your screen is going to be. Mine is actually a little bit out of line right now, and I'm going to be honest with you, I like to run my transducer a little loose so I can readjust it. I don't want it on my shaft really tight, because if I do run into a log or a dock post or anything, it'd be easy to break this off, bend it, which makes it almost impossible to get it back right. So what I like to do is run it a little bit loose so I can always adjust it if I need to, but make sure that it's perfectly parallel with the head of your trolling motor. That's getting pretty close, wouldn't you say? Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm sure you guys noticed at the beginning of the video, I damaged my HDS 12 Pro. And I just replaced it with an Elite 10 FS. What I plan to do is do a side-by-side comparison of the clarity of those two units and the function side-by-side in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Check back in with the channel. Maybe a HDS 12 Pro is the right unit for you, or maybe the Elite FS 10 is going to be just a unit for your boat and the style of fishing you do. I'm going to help you navigate those decisions so you can get the best unit for you. You want to get the most out of your electronics, do those 3 things. I promise you're going to 10x your experience with fishing electronics just by doing those few things.